present. Share screen.
Light off of it, but that's Luna's cat, Fu Man Man. Boy, they got the best food right there. I'll tell you, El Burrito.
Okay, stop sharing. Hello, everyone. Could you hear us? Hello. You are back again. So, hello, everyone. Could you hear us? If you can hear us, please enter one in our comments. I see many friends here. Okay, Marian Tizat. No, hello. So here is Luna. Good morning, good afternoon, or good night to everyone. So here is our
you and me.
Yeah.
My name is Maury.
Yeah, she is Maury. He also is one of our admin in our group. So she will always help us too. So good day, everyone. So I have to say, Sherry has got something on her mind, and she took 2 days off. So today she will not in our live chat. So so sorry if you want to see Sherry. Hi, Suspendian, Cardi. Okay, so I think today our topic is also is meet Jim Shupe and his story is Creality Falcon module. Jim is always playing 3D printing, but he also got a Taiwan laser module on his printer. So I found out that Jim print laser engraving very well. So I decided to invite him to join our live chat. Also, I think the most challenging thing is that Jim is in his 70s and he keep learning new things and do it very well. So I think that is most one of the things that attract me so much. So let's welcome Jim Shu to join our live chat. Hello, Jim.
Hi. Hi, how are you doing?
Good. How are you? How about you?
I'm pretty hot today. It's 110 degrees here today.
Yes. So today our live chat will be with Jim. So we will mainly discuss about Jim's story with his laser module Creality Tanwa. And so let's start right here. Okay. So could you simply introduce yourself, including your job before you retire and after your retirement? Jim, could you do that for us?
Sure. Well, as you said, my name is Jim Shupe. I started tinkering when I was about 8 years old, taking things apart and rebuilding things and creating things, making things. I can remember my mother saying one night, she thought I was asleep. She said to my dad, "I swear that boy's going to be an engineer someday." And I did become an engineer. I was a test engineer at a medical plant for 8 years. I spent the bulk of my time working as a TV technician, though, in consumer electronics. So that's what got me into the laser engraving, because I appreciate the quality of the lines. And I'm not into cutting. I do mostly engraving. I haven't cut much at all except with my old CO2 laser. That's what I use it for. But the blue lasers, I love the engraving and the quality, especially this 10 watt with the 0.06 millimeter spot size. I think it makes a much, much finer detail than the other machines I have. And I still do printing, and I do 3D scanning as well. I have 11 scanners now, so I do that too. But I enjoy it so much, and like I say, my tinkering instinct is satisfied with this engraving, as well as the printers. I have to admit, I've been hung up more on the engraving in the last few months than I have the scanning or the printing. It's been mostly engraving. I have, and mostly tiles. I love doing the tiles. I developed a method that gives me nice, rich blacks and nice, crisp text and decent pictures. You've seen some of my work. I haven't displayed it all. I have stacks and stacks. I'm on my 4th box of tiles, 400 tiles almost. So it's something I love to do.
Yeah, I see that. You show many tiles laser engraving in our groups. So before our live chat, I also saw some of your works in our groups. I think they are very amazing. You also laser my cat, right?
Well, the thing that appeals to me most is developing new methods, because of my test engineering background. I got exposed to test methods and things like repeatability and consistency and all that. Those are the things I go for. Then once I have that mastered, I pretty much go on to the next thing.
Yes. So hello, I see Lee. Hello, Lee. I see. Okay. So what I actually want to know what inspired you to have yourself a Falcon laser module. I know you play the CO2 and also you play printing, right?
Well, actually, it was Jesse Ming who informed me that you had a 10-watt module. I didn't realize it was available, and I have lots of Ender 3s. I have 6 Ender 3s. So, in fact, I still have 2 in the box that I haven't assembled, but I plan to devote them to the laser modules as well, because it's an economical way to get engraving. And I especially like the feature with the SD card. Once I get something I can sell, I plan to use the SD card feature as a production machine, so I can just hit start and go. You know, I have some friends that are already doing that.
Oh, okay, I see. Is this for you? It's easy to add your laser module into on your printer.
No, it was very easy. It was very easy.
Okay,
Just
so
not 1 minute like some ads I've seen, but but certainly less than 5 minutes.
Less than 5 minutes. Okay, then that's great, right? Like people can turn their printer into also a laser engraver.
Exactly, and what I did is I have a couple of printers that have just worn out hot ends, so I use those for the engraving because it gives it a new life. Then I don't have to worry about replacing the hot end. I can use one of my others that has a good hot end.
Yes. So great. So how do so for one more question, like how did you get to start using laser engraver or cutting method? And what is the difference between 3D printing and laser for you? I think for photo laser engraving, I think it's kind of like a technique. You need to acquire some technique to for us to make a very well photo laser engraving or tile engraving. I think it needs some techniques. So could you share your techniques for like the photo laser engraving?
I'm sorry, I'm watching the other video on my monitor so I can see you, but I think you asked me how does the 3D printing compare with laser engraving? How did I move from 3D printing to laser engraving? Well,
Yes.
originally I got involved in the laser cutting with my CO2 laser a few years ago. But when I saw what was being done with the Creality lasers, I just had to get one. So that's where I got started. It was just watching videos that appealed to me for the creativity, and you know, I have to have a creative outlet. I think that's what drives me everywhere, even in repairs. You know, repairs are a creative outlet too, because you have to invent a method of the repair. Every time you do a repair, you have to invent the method you're going to use. So in that way, they're similar.
Yes. I see. So could you but you also did a very well job in your photo laser engraving. Could you share us some techniques about your laser engraving?
Some pointers? Some pointers? Is that what you're asking?
No, some techniques like way or methods for you to laser engraving very well for a new starter, new started into laser engraving.
Well, what I try to do, excuse me, I try to do all the processing in Lightburn, and I'm still learning there because there are several different ways to decode the photo. Lately, I've settled on Atkinson as my favorite method. And I try to keep the DPI around 320 or so. I found that I get striations and patterns and interference patterns if I don't watch it carefully and keep the DPI around there. Brightness and contrast are another thing. I do some processing in GIMP prior to bringing it into Lightburn, and I basically do it by eye. I tried the ImageR. I tried that for a month, and I wasn't really satisfied with it. It just seemed to be too complex. So I decided to just stay with the inbuilt features in Lightburn and learn to use those very well. So the first thing that anybody should do is run a materials test in Lightburn to see what settings you need for cutting or for engraving. And that's what I've done with my tile method. I've run so many materials tests I couldn't tell you. And because I apply the stuff with an airbrush, consistency is a big problem. So I've developed techniques for crisscrossing and up and down and back and forth, and I've settled on four coats of titanium dioxide and alcohol. Pretty much handle most of what I do, either the vector art, which is just line drawings, or with the photo engraving. The photo engraving is much harder because there's so many things that affect the overall look of the photo. And I always go back to the TV repair days when my service manager, the first one I had, said, if you adjust the TV 6 inches from your face and it looks good there, then from 6 feet away, it's going to look absolutely awesome. So I try to use that. I get up as close as I can to the screen and I zoom in as close as I can, and I look at all the dots and the patterns and all of that, and just kind of go by eye. I mean, that's the best advice I could give, is what looks good to you. And my eyes are getting bad, so I have to put on sometimes 2 pairs of glasses. But that's what you got to do when you're in the 70s. You got to deal with the body you have.
Okay, so great tennis and great thanks for your sharing. And I will show some comments like questions from our audience. So Edmonton asks, what kind of life do the laser get approximately? How many hours of the night out of 10? So could you help us for this question, Jim?
I couldn't answer that question.
I don't either. So, Edmonton, could you clarify, make your questions more clearly for us to understand? So, let me see next question from Ian. What kind of the same questions? Okay. Let me see. Cordy asks, what does the air brushing provide that's interesting? Okay, so Jim, could you could you answer this question from Cordy?
Certainly. What I do, I mix. I tried various preparations. I used the paint method first with the tiles, which uses the Rust-Oleum 2X with the built-in primer with white. That's where it gets the titanium dioxide. I researched what the titanium dioxide does, and what it does in nature, it absorbs ultraviolet light and it re-emits visible light in the white spectrum, full spectrum white light. So that's what makes it look so bright as a mineral. That's why they use it in foodstuffs, in cosmetics. They use it even in milk. In this country, they put titanium dioxide in milk to make it whiter because everybody wants white. Well, when you hit it with the laser, it alters its lattice structure. It alters the structure of the crystalline mineral so that it no longer absorbs light and absorbs the UV and now it absorbs all light. So it's black. It doesn't emit anything. It absorbs all spectrum of light. So it ends up being black. And what it does, if you hit it at just the right speed and power, it fuses with the existing glaze on the tile and doesn't break the surface so that it's still watertight. It's still waterproof. What I do, and I didn't develop this myself, I just refined it from watching lots of videos. I mix the titanium dioxide powder in the non-nanotype. That is, it has to be larger than a certain particulate size so that it doesn't enter your body, so that it's not a health hazard. I still use respiratory equipment, though. I still use a mask when I spray. But I mix about 1 part titanium dioxide to 3 parts isopropyl alcohol. Then I spray it with an airbrush, and the alcohol, being 99%, evaporates very quickly and leaves a powdered coating on the tile. And by counting my layers and doing 4 layers, get a pretty uniform coating, and it's about as much as you need. Any more won't make it any blacker. It won't make it any darker. Once you reach a certain layer thickness, it seems that it no longer gets any blacker. It just stays that black. So by spraying it on and letting it evaporate, and also there's a property to the titanium dioxide that I noticed when I was using it for 3D scanning. I was using it for a while for 3D scanning, but I noticed that after I had scanned the item, I could not get the titanium dioxide out of the little crevices and cracks because it's kind of slick and sticky. My son and I were discussing this, that maybe it has little platelets that lie down in a horizontal manner and they interlock, so it makes a powder that doesn't blow off easily, but you can brush it off easily. But then when you hit it with the laser at the right speed and power, it does that nice black. It gives you nice blacks and contrasts in your photo engraving too. But there again, I'm still experimenting with the photo engraving part. I haven't settled on the exact method that I use every time. Every time, each photo is a little bit different.
Yeah, so I think Cody say very interesting. I've been laser engraving for years. I have never heard that tip. Thank you, Jim. I think you share something very useful for our audience. So
Good.
Ian
That's great.
Yeah. So Ian asked the question again, how long will the laser module last in hours? I think it depends on the work projects you are doing, right?
Yeah, I would say it would depend on the power that you run the laser at. I try to run mine in less than 50% on most of what I do. In fact, the photo engraving, I'm down to about 32.5%, I think, on my last one. 35.7, somewhere in the less than 40%.
Okay, so here is another question from Tisa. How do you keep the image from being brushed off the tile? So could you help us answer this question, Jim?
Well, as I said, the laser, of course, it only touches it with light. I don't use air assist. I don't have air assist for my 10-watt module, and it doesn't seem to need it. I've examined the lens quite a few times after doing a lot of tiles, and it doesn't put any soot on the lens. I don't do any wood, so I don't have any smoke really. I just started doing scratch paper. I noticed that puts off a little bit of smoke, so I may put a little fan in front of it. But as I said, it seems that the titanium dioxide is kind of greasy, I would say, or it seems to interlock. The particles seem to interlock so that you can tip it on its side, you can vibrate it, everything else, and it doesn't move. You can blow on it with your breath and it doesn't move. And in fact, with my airbrush, I'm using quite a bit of pressure. I think I'm about 35 or 40 psi on the airbrush, so it comes out pretty quickly. But I haven't had any problem with it sliding off the tile. It stays in place. As I said, you know, it was difficult to remove it from my 3D scanning subjects, so it has a sticky nature. It likes to stay behind. It's hard to get it off sometimes. And by the way, now when I finish, I didn't discuss this either. When I finish the tile, I always burnish it with a Brillo pad, because there's a certain amount of char on top of the image, and it always looks darker after you've just finished burning it before you scrub it with the Brillo pad. Then it lightens up a little bit. It gets the burnt titanium dioxide off the surface, and it looks lighter after you do that.
Okay, so Ian say just curious of the longevity. Thank you. Okay, I think this question is more about how you use your laser module and how you protect your lens. So it's like a question they have many influencers. So many things will influence the longevities of the laser module. So I think if you protect it well, it could work longer.
Well, if I might interrupt, another issue also is the operating temperature. Here in the desert, it was so hot yesterday that my computer fan was running full speed, and it wasn't even doing anything. It was just idling. It was just sitting there, not doing any work, just sitting there. And the fan came on full speed. That's how hot it is in my engraving room. So I would imagine the temperature that you use your laser engraver in, the ambient temperature, is going to have an effect also.
Wow, that's a new discovery for me. Okay, so yes, I see suspensions theoretically come with its own controllable and could always print a bracket for its tutorial. However, it's probably easier to install a cheaper back slinger. Yes. Okay, so let's move on. So once I see teaser says, so once the image is on the tile, is this put? I think this question you can help with teaser, Jim.
Oh yeah, it definitely stays put. As I said, I scrub it with a Brillo pad vigorously after I finished. so it's embedded. It's embedded in the glaze of the tile.
Yes.
The key is to not cut too deeply. You have to have a thick enough coating so that you can get your blacks without too much power. If you use too much power, you're going to cut into the glaze, and it's going to have a rough surface and not be waterproof anymore.
Yes. So the remaining part, I will let my partner Maria to ask Jim for about the remaining questions.
And the question everyone is interested in is that could you describe the font that the laser engraver brought you? Hi, can you hear my sound?
Yes. So Maria asked a question like, could you describe the fun that the laser module brought you? Actually, the fun. OK ，so 就是
the interest when you doing your project.
Yes. Jim, could you hear us?
I didn't catch all of the question.
Yeah. So could you describe the fun the laser engraving brought you, like since you're playing so many tiles laser engraving? So why you do so many tile laser engraving?
Oh, why do I do so many tiles? Because
Yes.
I love the way the tiles look. It's that simple. I met a man. I sent you some engravings, some pictures of a little dog that I had engraved. The poor little dog was killed yesterday, and I just met the man a couple of weeks ago. I think he's homeless. But I had admired his dog so much, and he sent me that photo, and I did the tile for him before the dog got killed. But he just got killed yesterday, so now it means a lot more to him. And that's, I like to do engravings for my family. I like to take old Polaroids that don't exist anywhere else. It's one of a kind, and get that on a nice tile for my family. 40-year-old Polaroids are pretty rare. So I like to do those things. I've done some, I did a 71-year-old photograph the other day of me and my brother when we were just little boys, little tiny boys. But to me, it's the uniqueness. I like to put something memorable on a tile because of all the things I've tried so far, I like the tiles the best. I think they turn out the best.
Wow. Yes. So that is what did you sell your tiles to other people?
I did sell, let's see, I sold a lot of 50 tiles to a local restaurant. My wife is receiving in-home nursing care right now for her health issues, and her nurse saw my engravings and she was so impressed. I did one of her, actually. She and a couple of her co-workers came out, and there were 3 of them here, so I thought that was pretty unique. So I did a photo. I took a photo of them, and then I engraved 3 tiles with 3 different methods, and gave one to each of the 3, and they just adored them. And then she said, well, my husband owns a pizza place up there in a nearby town, a nearby community. Says maybe you could do a Father's Day present for him. Maybe I could get 50 tiles with his business logo on them. So I did that, and she was very pleased with them, and he has them on display in his restaurant now.
Wow.
I think those are the only ones I really sold. Everybody wants to buy them, but I typically give them away. I've done a lot of sculpting. I've done a lot of sculpting in my life too, so I do the same thing with my sculptures. I give my sculptures away to the people that admire them the most, because I know they'll display them. I know they won't just throw them in a corner because they like them so much.
Yes.
So that's kind of what drives me. That's why I have so many tiles stacked up all over the place.
I agree. So Ian says that's cool. Thank you for the tips. Could you see some example of what you engrave on the tiles if you have them on handy? So could you show us some your laser engraving work? Yes.
I did this one here. I don't know if you can see it. I did this one here. Local pet store. I stopped in and took a big photo of his big iguana out in the front.
Wow, it looks cool.
Yes. Now I could probably do a better one. I think I got the resolution too high on there. My DPI setting was too high, so I have a lot of noise in it.
Yes.
And then I don't know if you can see this one.
My cat.
Yeah, I knew you would recognize that, Lena.
Actually want to do the similar one. So after the lecture, I definitely will ask you for the settings, the parameter settings. I want to do the same the same one for my cats. Actually, last week I adopted another cat. Now I have 4 cats.
I saw that. You're as bad as I am. At one time I had 20 cats.
Wow. I just love cats.
Here's one I did to test consistency. I did 6 of these sequentially, in one session,
Wow.
so that I could test the consistency. I chose a Cricut, but somewhere I have a video showing all 6, but they turned out pretty nice. What I found is that because I have to fiddle with the airbrush and shake everything, and the titanium dioxide falls out of suspension, so you have to keep it shaken regularly. So I try to spray a lot of tiles in one session so that I'm consistent across all the tiles, because each session I have, my spray might be a little bit different, not quite as thick and not as many coats, and it comes out, I have to fiddle with the airbrush all the time. Once I have it working, it's pretty good for that session, but say the next day I've got to start it all over again and get it working again. That's the only problem with my technique, is I'm not an airbrush artist, so I'm just trying to get it out of the tip onto the tile. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yes.
Now, I might share something I've been working on. I showed you that one that I did with the blue, that has the blue leaves around one of my little dog. What I'm doing is I'm trying to develop a method of fusing ceramic glaze, the liquid glaze, to the tile in the same manner that the titanium dioxide does. My biggest problem with that, though, is the consistency of coating. I can't use an airbrush. It can't be sprayed on. So most likely going to have to go with a silkscreen application on that one. But that's what I'm doing. I want to get color on the tiles without using paint, because I don't like the paint. I don't like the paint.
I see. I remember that you showed me once for the result, like color in laser engraving on your tile, the leaves around your dog.
Right.
I remember that one. That's quite impressive. So for me,
right.
So I think the
and like I say, the difficulty there is in the coating, getting the thick enough coating on it, and having the coating consistent. I've tried rollers and brushes and everything else, but I think I'm going to have to go with a silkscreen application, get a little silkscreen frame and apply it by silkscreen, so that then I can run a materials test, which would be meaningful. It's not meaningful unless you can have consistency in your coating. If the coating is not consistent, then the materials test doesn't mean anything.
Yes. So I think the result of the data done by the 10-watt laser module is quite pretty good from all your tile laser engraving. So let us see. So the following question, Cody asks, where do you store your tiles? Anything to avoid when buying them? Could you help us for this question?
Oh, Home Depot. I buy them by the box at Home Depot. I think they're 17 cents a piece if you buy a box of 100.
Okay.
The titanium dioxide is relatively cheap. It's sold everywhere, all over the place. I got it on Amazon. I think I bought a pound for less than $20 US anyway. And the isopropyl, you can get it all over. I use 99%, so it dries quickly.
Yes. Okay, so Cardi, does this solve your question? So let's move on to next one. And about how long does it take to engrave a 4x4 tile?
On the 4x4 tiles, it depends on the subject. If it's a vector, if it's a vector drawing, anywhere from 15 to 20, 30 minutes, depending on the complexity. A photo engraving can take over an hour, depending on your settings, your DPI settings.
Yes. So Timothy say very cool engravings. Yes. Okay. So I think Movia will ask the following question from you. Yes.
And the next question is, how did Creality Falcon laser module help? And could you show us some work you done by Falcon?
Was that a question to me?
Yes. Okay. So actually, I think the question have been answered before from the questions. How did Creality Falcon laser module help for your laser engraving? Did you think that our Creality Falcon 10-watt laser module is great for you to do the laser engraving?
Are you asking me if I think it's great for me to do laser engraving? It's absolutely. Yes. It was very economical for just a little over $200, and like I say, I had plenty of Ender 3s. They're Ender 3 Pros from 3 years ago, so I'm basically using my remaining Ender. I don't do a lot of printing anymore, but I have an Ender 5 Plus that I put into service for. Well, my latest project was a scan of a door handle for a guy's truck, so I've been printing that out on the Ender 5 Plus in TPU. But it was a no-brainer. I had a printer sitting there, and then I wanted to do more engraving than I could do with my old CO2. So there you go. And Jessie told me about it, and actually, it'd only been out for about a month when she told me, and I ordered it right away. I had friends that were jealous because they thought it wasn't released yet.
Okay, so I was just curious, like whether in the future will you try some cutting? Like actually, like 10-watt laser module, I can also do some cuttings.
I haven't done any cutting because I don't have a honeycomb bed, and I know I can put foil down and all of that, but I just basically like the quality of the engravings. I may do some cutting. I had some ideas for picture frames from the 3mm balsa, to do with my tiles to disguise them as not, somebody said maybe you should put a frame so it's not obvious that it's a tile. Maybe people would think it's more art if it has a frame. So I'm thinking about maybe doing that, doing some cutting and engraving on the wood. But like I say, I did wood burning when I was a little kid, and it just reminds me of all the times I got burned on the wood burning iron. I had a big scar on my forearm for a long time from getting burned on the iron. I always liked how it looked, but I might get to it. I've just gotten so involved with these tiles. I've gotten stuck. I love them so much.
I see. I see that how much you love it. So actually, I also for me, I'm actually trying to do some cutting, like cutting the acrylic, and also do some laser engraving. But actually, I think I need to like learn more about the engraving, because I think it's more difficult than cuttings. Actually,
yes,
in my mind,
yes,
it's like it needs some tennis. For me, I do some photo engraving from time to time, but I fail many times because I didn't set the parameter settings very well. So, and also I need to adjust the picture quality to make it more suitable for engraving. So it requires. So I think for the photo laser engraving, it requires us to learn more. So I just get lazy, so I do more cuttings. It's more easier. Like I just put a file into the library and then just start to cut. Then it's over.
Yeah, I think it's nicer to do things that other people aren't doing. If you do what everybody else is doing, there's no uniqueness.
Yes. So maybe for the following week, I will try more about the laser engraving to have more fun. Actually, I kind of like into the laser engraving and cutting. Before I came to Creality, I knew nothing about like DIY and 3D printer laser engraving. But from now, I thought it brought me lots of fun, really. So I also start to making my own things. So do some printing, to do some laser engraving. But for printing, I also very new. I still have much to learn at the moment. So yeah. Oh, DIY laser eye surgery. Yes. Actually, I also want to discuss the question about the laser engraving safety. I think it is very, very important for us to wear our glass on for to protect our eyes when do laser engraving and cutting. I mean, when you bought a Creality laser engraving machine, you will got a glass. I remember here, its name is called Gogo, for you to wear on. So, Jim, will you wear your glass when you do the laser engraving?
Always, and I like the Creality wraparound. They don't have the open areas in the side where you can catch it by mistake. I like the way they're more like goggles than glasses.
I mean, so I think Cody, question for the Creality people: could you engrave in the Creality enclosure, or you need to make sure you have good ventilation if you are cutting? Yes, definitely. So in the future, we will try to develop in enclosure one for our laser engraving, but for our people, we will remind our users to wear our glass when you do the laser engraving and cutting to protect your eye. Okay, so Ren, maybe someone here can help. I have a new Ender 3 and they won't pass Creality. Okay, that is a printing question. Please post that question in our DIY groups, or our people will help you. I think I want to make something artist and custom dash for throwing moving electric vehicle, a knife, or riders. Okay, advice received. I will see. I see in the printing house. Hey Jim, say hello to you, Jim. That's engraved on. Okay, I think there's a question from Tim saying, does it engrave?
Hi to the print house.
Yes. So, the Greer asked, does it engrave photos on wood well? I mean, could you, Jim, could you answer this question from Greer?
Well, that I have yet to get to. I would imagine it does. I've seen lots of good examples of engravings from the Falcon 2, in the entire engraver and the Falcon 2 modules. I just haven't tried it myself. It's like I say, I got stuck on those tiles, but I'll try to give it a try the next week and post something, see how my wood engraving goes. I also need to get into cylindricals, also bottles and jars and glasses and all of that. I have the accessories. I just haven't even opened the box yet.
Okay.
I got stuck on the tiles.
Okay, I think I can answer this question a little bit, because I try laser, I try engrave photos on wool, but I think it depends the type of the wool that you use. Some wool they have lines, so when you engrave on that wool, the photo will be you will see some lines around your photos. So it depends on your parameter settings and also the type of wood you choose.
Right. I would excuse me, but I would think hardwoods would work better than the softwoods.
Yes, I agree with that. They when you want to engrave photos on wood, you need to pick the wood very well. Pick the wood that is suitable for photo engraving. So here, let me see. I think I will almost come to an end. I see. Okay, suspended and say on bright wood engrave photos. Well, yes, it is another. Let's set up for the Creality. Has anyone developed a rotary setup for the Creality? I think we have a video for our rotary setup. So I will share. I will try to find it out today and share it in our group. So have you everyone join our group, the Falcon Laser Engraving official group? I will try to find this the video. I think many people ask this question these days, like how about the rotary setup for the Creality? I will try to find the videos. Jim, have you used the rotary roller?
I haven't used a rotary yet, and I don't have the Creality brand. I have to say, I have another brand, but They look very similar to the Creality. I just haven't gone that far yet because, as I say, I got stuck on the tiles. I tend to stop where I'm finding an enjoyable time, and with the tiles, it gives me that creative outlet. But I have some bottles in mind. I have some jars in mind. I have some patterns in mind. I just haven't moved that far yet. I've had some health issues lately. I just had a pacemaker implanted 3 weeks ago. So, and my wife has had some health issues. We've been dealing with a lot of stuff since February. So my scanning, my printing, my engraving, my everything has gotten behind because I just had to take care of my body first. When you get to my age, those things start happening.
Yeah, that's
But
the first. Yeah,
I'm on the mend. I'm on the mend, so I'm getting my activity up at a higher rate.
Yes. So a literature type. I didn't know this one, so I will let it pass. Okay, say hi
But
to
I do
Shupe.
have to say, on the subject of the Rotary,
Mhm.
I do have some friends in the groups that have used other brands successfully with the Ender 3 and the Falcon module.
Yes, so we could try, but I want to say actually Creality also has its own rotary roller, and
Yep.
I think our colleague had made the video about how to set up the rotary roller on the Falcon. So I will try to find the video for you, or if we don't make a video, I will ask my colleague to make a new one for our users to use our rotary roller. I think that is very important because I have seen 3 times people asking this question. So I think that is very important for us to make a video for you to know how to set up the rotary on the Falcon 2. Yes, I think Suspenders say I have a lecture tab and the creative one. They have both just a new name stepper mode that you can connect. Yes, then thanks for the info from Suspendian. Okay, our code now clean. Okay. So Joe say I was asking Cody.
Oh, I might say on the Rotary, according to a buddy of mine that has the 10-watt module and an Ender 3, he's using Rotary on his. He says you just plug it into the Y-axis. That's all you have to do, and then your mechanical alignment, of course. But to make it work, you should just have to plug it into the Y driver.
Yes. So I think
unplug the Ender 3 bed, unplug the bed, the Y-axis, and plug that into your Rotary.
Yes, that would be the hip. Okay, so the last question is for Jim is what advice will you give to the people who are playing 3D printing and also wanting to try laser engraving?
I'd say if they have one of the Enders that the module is compatible with, that's the way to go. It's the cheapest way you could get into engraving.
Yes, to get a laser module to add on your printer. Yes, I agree. Like for the 10-watt laser module, it's only 100 or 200 dollars.
Right.
I forgot.
The 5-watt, the 5-watt, I think is 129 or something like that, 119, somewhere there around there. I think some of what I do could even be done with the 1.6-watt.
Yes. So factories everywhere. So I'm hitting up and just yeah. So thank you, Jim. I think our live chat will end here, and thank you again. I appreciate very much for your attending in our live chat, and I think your sharing and your tips are very, very useful for our audience. So
thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So here, see you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
And bye bye. Say goodbye. Bye.
Thanks everybody for watching.
Yeah. Bye bye. So for people, I will introduce. So here we can show some for our laser laser module 10-watt. I think it's very useful for people who wants to try who plays 3D printing and want to try the laser engraving, and this is the cheapest way for you to try. So here I will share the screen to see the laser module. Okay, for the 10 watt, here is the 1.5 Jim. So share the screen. So everyone, you can see from here. Okay, here is the Creality laser module for the 1.6 watt, and you can also have 5 watt and 10 watt. So Jim is using the 10 watt, and here is the 10 watt. Okay, so let's see. So it got the 0.06 mm high precision, compatible with a variety of models. So let's see what models can be comparable with 10 watt. Let me see. Yeah. So from here, you can use the Creality laser module on your Ender 2 Pro, Ender 3, Ender 3 Pro, Ender 3 Neo, and Ender 3 Max Neo, Ender 3 S1, Ender 3 S1 Pro, Ender S1, 3 S1 Plus, Ender 3 V2, Ender 3 V2 Neo, CR10, CR10 Mini, and more. So all it can be say that, and for the Ender series, you all can use the you all can add the laser module to your Ender 3. And here, let's see some videos for the laser module done by our
Hey guys,
users.
here. Now today's video, we're going to be looking at Creality's laser module that literally takes your Ender 3 variety of versions and turns it into a laser so that you can laser engrave using your 3D printer. It's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and check it out. Now, one of the cool things about the Creality laser module that we're about to see right now is that, as you'll notice right here, the printer is actually off. This is a Ender 3 Max Neo. And the actual unit itself is kind of self-powered with the brain that I'll show you in a couple seconds. I'm calling it the brain, or the control center for the actual laser expansion kit. So this is a 10 watt laser. It focuses, and we already have it focused. It focuses using one of these guys right here, where you put underneath the material that you're going to cut and engrave. And then what you do is you connect it to several points, right? So you're connecting it to either your X. Well, it's not either. You're going to be connecting to your X and your Y, disconnecting the actual printer itself, and then connecting all the components of the laser. Now, the cool thing also is that you'll notice that my print head is still here, which means I'm not going to change my leveling. I'm not going to change any of the settings that I have. So once I switch from laser engraver back to printer, it just works, because again, they're like two different systems right now that are not even interacting with each other because of how the actual box that's right here, you'll see that in a second, is actually controlling what's going on here. So first thing I'm going to do is I have already Lightburn installed, and I actually have a licensed version of Lightburn. So what I'm doing is a frame just to see the area that I'm going to be engraving. And you saw how it just went through that box area. That's telling me the area that's engraved. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to hit the engrave or the start option. And what it's going to start to do is it's going to start to engrave. I'm going to say yes. And what you'll see is that it's starting right now to burn or to engrave. Now, this is working really well. I've been surprised how nicely it works. Now, there's a couple components that are here in play. First of all, you see this is a honeycomb board or a honeycomb frame that basically is metal, and it provides a space between your bed and then also the material that you're burning. If you're cutting wood, for example, it also allows things to aerate so that you basically don't have to deal with a lot of flare-ups. And by the way, this kit does come with something that's called Air Assist, so that as you're starting to cut wood, you really don't have to worry about a lot of flare-ups or any kind of the burning of the material, because it's blowing air as it's cutting. Now, this is going to go through and do this entire pattern. You're going to see this in a couple seconds as it's doing the actual engraving. There's also underneath this a metal shield that's protecting it. Now, I have a PEI sheet. You don't want to use this just with the PEI sheet. You want the metal shield that comes with the actual plate that you see here on top. And then those 3 layers, or actually those 2 layers, are going to give you the right laser engraving surface. So what we're going to do is we're going to just let it run, and we'll see what it was able to engrave. Now, as you saw, the laser engraver does a really nice job when it comes to engraving this specific slate. You'll notice that these are the power settings. So this is 10% all the way up to 100%. And then over here, you have the speed in which the laser is operating. And you'll notice that it's relatively fast, and it's going to give you a really nice engrave, depending, again, on the type of shade or color that you want. So this is going to do really well when it's doing slates. But it also works well when it comes to wood. Now, there's one other thing that we have going on here that I'm going to bring on camera, and that is this device right here, which is called an air assist solution. So what air assist does is it pumps air through this area here that you'll see in a second through the actual laser. And let's pan a little bit so you can see that right there. So it's going to basically pump air as the laser is cutting. And what it's going to do is it's going to give you very clean and pristine cuts. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So here's a piece of wood that we engraved. And you're going to notice how clean the words are. So notice how crisp the word Creality is right here. Laser module. eHuman Tech Reviews, and look at how nice and clean this is. Now, the reason why this looks this way that you can see right there is because we had the air assist on. So the air assist made sure that as it was burning, right, it was basically preventing it from flaming up. And you can again see how nice and crisp that is. It's almost like if it was written, not cut. And this actually has some depth to it, right? Now, let me show you what would happen if you did not have air assist on. So these are some pieces of wood that we cut, and I turned off air assist. Now you see this on the side here, this is charring that took place. So basically, as it was heating up, it was actually burning. I'm gonna give you another example here. This is, again, what happens when you don't have air assist on. So it really changes the amount of work that you have to go through when you're engraving or cutting material. I can turn on air assist if I wanted to when I was doing the slate as well. In some cases I do. When I do slate engraving, sometimes I turn on air assist because it does help keep things a little bit cleaner. But for the wood is where I find that I see the most value, because it goes from something that's like this, and you can see kind of like the burning on the side, which, by the way, I can sand that off, but I'm trying to do stuff where it's the minimal amount of work to something that looks like this, right? It's a huge difference. Okay. Now, the last thing that we'll highlight is the actual control box here. We'll go ahead and pan a little bit over. Now, this is everything that's required to make this solution work, right? And, with all the cabling that's going on here. So it's pretty simple. You have USB coming out of this. You then also have power. And when I mentioned that you don't even have to you're not even changing anything that has to do with the actual printer itself, because the actual printer module itself, the brain, as you would put it, for the printer isn't really functioning. This is driving, again, the X axis or the Y axis, depending on what you're doing. Everything is happening here. It's like having 2 different machines. So this is actually like leveraging all of the tech that this has to run the laser. And I thought that's pretty ingenious right here. So you have your power switch here, and then you'll notice that you have a micro SD slot as well. But I was running this using Lightburn. So really what it comes down to it is that this solution gives you the ability to convert literally the Creality laser or the Creality 3D printers into a laser engraving machine for a hobbyist that's looking to just create some cool things like what you see here, or if you'd like to be able to cut material like you see there. So a lot of options for you. Highly recommend considering this solution if you're wanting to extend, again, the usage of your 3D printer beyond just 3D printing.
So guys, that wraps up our review. See you in the next video.
Okay, so Cardi said it's the LC part of the key. If you buy the laser module, you will get no, I need to check that. So Cardi, have you joined our group? You can join our group and then send a message to me. I need to check it. And because I use the Falcon 22 because I need to do more cuttings. So I will check it. It's the LC part of the key. I think we can check right now. Yes, let's see what will inside the laser module. 10 watt. I see 10 watt is like $199. And what will be okay? Yes, you got the control box, laser module, the bracket, the goggles, power adapter, strip, Velcro, Type-C cable, card reader and storage card, user manual, wrench, focus strip, clean close screw. Yes, you will got all of this in your box, the product list. Very informative video answer my question. Okay, I think I'm happy that the video will help you solve your questions. So everyone, if you want to buy the laser Falcon, you can use the key the code from me. So I will send you the code if you want to buy. The code will get you like 5% off schools. Yeah, STFB FG15. So let's see more about the laser module. Actually, I think the 1.6 watt is also suitable for laser engraving. If you don't want to cutting or you just want to try, you can buy the 1.6 laser 1.6 watt to try. It's only $79. Very cheap for a new beginner to try on the laser engraving. Also, yeah, here is some projects doing by the laser engraving from our users, from our group users. So if you want to get more ideas or share some tips with our group members, you can join our Falcon official user group. Okay, I see today's lecture will be here. And if you want to buy, you can use the code. I think stop the sharing. Yes, you can use the the code here, FTFEG50. They will get you 5% off. This code will get you 5% off. I see. Let me check. Thank you, Cardi. Okay, so let me this code. I can see TrueTech medical printing kit print year scope for growth of the miss over. Yes, definitely. So our live chat will end here. See you. Bye bye, everyone. Very happy for you to have you all here. I appreciate it very, very much. And next live chat we will have share it together. Bye bye.